I want to start by saying that I do not have a definitive answer to this question. I want to hear your opinions on the most intelligent anime villain, but let's get some criteria out of the way. Everyone defines intelligence differently, so we need to lay down some ground rules. First of all, I want to say that intelligence from a superpower should not count, at least not by my definition. For example, Eren Yeager's knowledge of the past and future would not count as intelligence, at least by my definition. For the second one, I don't have a great way to word this, but their intelligence must relate to their villainy or antagonism. It doesn't count if a villain is crazy smart, but it doesn't have an effect on their actions. That doesn't work. The third, we are looking specifically for strategic or tactical intelligence. Someone who can predict what will happen and use it to their advantage. I don't want someone who has a PhD in robotics and makes a giant robot to fight the good guys, but their only strategy is, my robot hits really hard. That's not at all what I want. Of course, your definitions could vary. Everyone's going to call intelligence something else, and that's fine. I just want to hear your thoughts on this. But of course, I do want to go over a couple good examples. So please stop the video here if you do not want spoilers from the following series. So my first example is kind of a weird one, considering this character is not from an anime. But I think she's a perfect example of intelligence, at least by my definition, in other media. So for those who aren't aware, in The Walking Dead, the zombies really aren't all that scary. They're slow, they're unarmed, they die easily, they're distractible. For most of the show, the zombies aren't any real threat. Now, Alpha, character in question, she changes all of that. She and her people put on the skins of dead zombies, blending perfectly into a horde. They can even steer that horde. Because she knows how to do this, she invented the strongest power in that world. Not only that, but she applies pressure to her enemies and predicts their moves perfectly. It's not just the zombies that are her puppets. Hell, it's not even the other Whisperers. It's even her enemies that are under her controls. She always gets them to go exactly where she wants them. Another example is Father from Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. In the beginning, he's a powerless dwarf trapped in a flask. He has knowledge of alchemy beyond that of his creator, but he doesn't even have a body of his own. Instead, he influences the people around him by giving them knowledge. He indebts people to him, he makes them trust him, and eventually, even the king acts as his puppet. He tricks Hohenheim and the king into doing a tremendous transmutation that kills everyone else, but it gives him a body. He then rebuilds the world by his design, keeping everyone on his strings, whether they realize it or not, all building up to his next power play. And in general, I think the centuries-old villains are going to be easy inclusions for any kind of discussion about the most intelligent villain. Speaking of which, another centuries-old villain is All for One from My Hero Academia. Now, he's been alive and plotting for hundreds of years, so he knows everything there is to know about his world. Not only this, but he knows exactly how to use people's emotions against them. It's even to the extent that he recruits his enemy's orphaned grandson and trains the kid to be his protege. This revelation in the end crushes the hero's heart, but there's even more to his brilliance than just this. Basically, All for One convinces the kid that he'll be his successor, but really, All for One plots to rebuild himself in the kid, meaning he was a puppet all along. Or, at least that's my interpretation of what's going on right now. The show is still going. I haven't read the manga. I might be wrong on that. I don't know. While he's probably not going to win this contest, if this even is a contest, I think it's worth noting that younger Toguro at the very least predicts the future perfectly. I have another video that sums this up, but basically Toguro torments the hero and even kills their mentor. Toguro pushes him to his limit, but eventually Yusuke unlocks the power to beat him. After Yusuke kills Toguro, he learns that this was exactly what Toguro wanted all along, to the extent that Toguro hurt his friends just to make him stronger. It gets to the point that Toguro even made arrangements to make sure that his mentor would come back to life after the fight. If that's not some higher level four-dimensional chess right there, I don't know what is. Now, the last one I want to mention, kind of an oddball one, is I from Yu-Gi-Oh! Frames. Now, I've got a soft spot for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, even though I'll be the first to admit that card game anime usually aren't the strongest. Now, I is an artificial intelligence, and he starts the series as the hero's closest friend. Kind of. But when all the other artificial intelligences are killed, and I is the last of his kind, he ends up turning against humanity. It's to the extent that he says he ran 10,000 simulations and found that there's no future where humans and AI can live in peace. At least not his kind of AI. Now, Ai is a masterful duelist, so he quickly grows in power, and he hatches a plan to end humankind. Yusaku, the hero, narrowly defeats him in the end, but as Ai is dying, he explains that he never planned to go through with killing everybody. It's just that Yusaku would never let anyone hurt him if they stayed friends. He admits that he did run 10,000 simulations, but every time he was still alive, Yusaku died trying to protect him. The only way Ai could save his friend was by killing himself, and by getting Yusaku to do it. If you ask me, that's some high-level thinking, some 4D chess right there. But I guess that wouldn't really be villainy, so again, definitions are flexible. Hopefully these examples got your mind going, but I'd love to hear from you. In your opinion, who is the most intelligent anime villain?